Well, hello. I'm Josh, and I'm back once again with another classic Christmas film for you this week. And so today I'm talking about the 1954 Michael Curtiz musical White Christmas. The story of White Christmas is about a musical duo called Wallace and Davis, who meet and team up with a sister act called the Haynes Sisters in order to help save a Vermont hotel, a hotel which is owned and run by their old general from their days back in the army. Now, you have probably at least heard of this film. It's always somewhere on the list of best classic Christmas films. Tons of people, including myself, enjoy watching it every year around Christmas time. And so it's kind of got me wondering, why is this film beloved by so many people? I mean, the plot's a pretty basic one. It's not very complicated or interesting, really, if you're just hearing it described to you. So I'm wondering, what is it about White Christmas that has allowed it to retain its popularity even after so many years? And I think there are a few reasons for this. One big one, I think, is just the marketing behind it. Back when it was released, this was the first film that was shot in Paramount's new VistaVision format. It was a film process that allowed them to shoot in widescreen, whereas before most films were shot in a closer to 4:3 aspect ratio. Other studios had their own versions, like their CinemaScope and all sorts of things like that, but VistaVision was Paramount's attempt at this. And if you recall, a film that I talked about earlier this year, One Eye Jacks, was actually the final film to be shot in VistaVision. So it's kind of interesting that both of the films at the beginning and the end of VistaVision's lifespan are really iconic. But so anyway, since they were trying to push this format, there was obviously a ton of marketing. And of course, having the name White Christmas didn't hurt either. As many of you know, White Christmas is like best-selling single of all time, and so having a musical set around that song along with a ton of other Irving Berlin hits is definitely going to bring audiences. So of course this initial success definitely helped the film, but I think we can all agree that even though the film is very successful when it comes out, it does not necessarily mean that 20, 30, or 60 plus in this case years down the line it will still be as popular as it was back then. I mean, I think one big example that comes to a lot of people's mind for this is Avatar. I mean, that film broke so many records for its box office gross, and yet within the past 5 years, I've noticed several articles and videos talking about how nobody talks about the film anymore. I mean, the only thing I really hear about it now is that apparently there are four sequels coming out to it, so I don't know how those will do, but I find it so interesting though that a movie that was just so massive at the time has just almost completely vanished from pop culture, really. And not to say that there aren't fans of it, of course. It's just that there seems to be such a drastic change in popularity. But regardless, the reception to White Christmas does not seem to have changed that much over the 66 years since its release. So there must be more to White Christmas than it was just popular back in the day. Another aspect that I think draws people in is just how fun it is. It never gets too intense or dramatic, just enough to keep it interesting. But it has that great classic Hollywood feel to it, where it becomes kind of its own world that you're stepping into. And I know that's kind of weird to say because it's supposed to take place in the present, at least in 1954, but a lot of the classic Hollywood films have that kind of feel to it. And the fact that it's directed by one of the greatest directors of classic Hollywood does not hurt either. The director Michael Curtiz has made tons of classic films. You can kind of think of him as the Steven Spielberg of the day. And with a quick look at his IMDb page, you'll see that he has 178 directing credits. So when it came to filmmaking, he clearly knew what he was doing. And I think his direction allowed for there to be a lot of energy on the set, with the actors and the choreography as well. And of course, the music is all very catchy Irving Berlin tunes. And speaking of the choreography, I read somewhere that the writer-director of All That Jazz, Bob Fosse, was actually an uncredited choreographer on this film. And of course, aside from the song White Christmas, I think one of the most memorable aspects of this film is the cast. I mean, everyone is great in this film. Both Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye bring their different styles of comedy to the film. Danny Kaye is much more physical and expressive, while Bing Crosby is much more relaxed, and he comes up with these witty remarks that he just tosses out kind of offhand. And Curtiz allowed for a lot of improvisation, so a lot of the lines that Bing Crosby says are actually ones that he came up with himself. And Crosby and Kaye play off each other very well, especially considering that they had never worked together and that Kaye was actually the third choice for the role after both Fred Astaire and Donald O'Connor dropped out. And both the Haynes sisters, played by Vera Ellen and Rosemary Clooney, are also great in the film. Rosemary Clooney, who you may already have picked up is the aunt of actor George Clooney, as well as the mother of Miguel Ferrer, actually went on to record several popular records with Bing Crosby following White Christmas. And Vera Ellen does some very iconic and pretty impressive dance routines throughout the film as well. And a fun fact for you, if you look closely in a couple of the musical numbers, you may notice the actor George Chakiris, who went on to win Best Supporting Actor for the film West Side Story. And speaking of which, let's not forget all the great supporting actors in this film as well. I mean, you have Mary Wicks, Dean Jagger, and if you look closely at that picture of Betty and Judy's brother, you might notice that that picture is of none other than Carl Switzer, who's better known by his Little Rascal character, Alfalfa.
He always was a good-looking kid.
So with such a great cast, catchy music, beautiful visuals, solid direction, with a nice lighthearted story, I think it's no wonder this film is a go-to for families around Christmas time. And if you haven't seen White Christmas, I definitely encourage you to check it out. Online it's available to stream on Netflix, as well as having a rent or buy option from all the other streaming sites as well. And especially at this time during the holiday season, I'd say you can probably find a copy most places like Walmart or Target or Best Buy or something like that. And furthermore, I think this film is getting some TV and theatrical showings as well, so keep a lookout to see if it's happening near you if you want to watch it that way. But now we have come to the comment question. And I'm wondering, what is your favorite Christmas film? Just like with all the horror films in October, I always look forward to revisiting my favorite Christmas films in December. And I mean, at this point, the list is getting so long, it's kind of hard to fit them all in. But put maybe your top 5 or your top 3 favorites in the comments section down below and start discussing. Be sure to hit the like button below if you like this video, and subscribe if you want to see more. Have a great rest of your day, and remember to keep watching movies. And I will see you next week for a special Christmas episode, so be sure to keep a lookout for that. Alright, I will see you then.
Merry Christmas!